This is Goku-san DBZ. Welcome back to a new top 10 list. Before I start my theme, this is going to be the last normal top 10 list for the month of November. Of November. So with that said, this is going to be the last best-selling list for a while. This is the top 10 best-selling handheld game consoles of all time, strictly based on sales statistics. So with that said, let's get started. Honorable mentions that didn't quite make the top 10 in sales. The Sega Nomad, released in 1995, sold an estimated 1 million units. Next up, selling an estimated 1.5 million units, released in 1990, the Turbo Express, which was the handheld TurboGrafx. Next, released in 1998, and surprisingly sold a lot better than I thought it did, selling an estimated 2.2 million units worldwide, the Neo Geo Pocket. Yeah, trust me, I didn't realize the Neo Geo Pocket sold over 2 million units. Surprise. Coming at number 10, selling an estimated 3 million units, the Coleco Mini Arcade, released in 1982. So yeah, a little handheld ColecoVision. Interesting, I didn't even know about it until I was researching the sales numbers. I didn't even know about the Mini Coleco. Hey, you learned something new. Next, at number 9, selling an estimated 3.3 million units, released in 2003. A handheld that doesn't have the greatest reputation quality-wise. The Nokia N-Gage. Yeah, I personally never actually touched one or seen one. In all honesty, I've never personally seen an N-Gage, other than in reviews. Coming at number 8, selling an estimated 11 million. So we jump from 3.3 to 11 million. Quite a leap in sales numbers. But coming in at number 8, selling an estimated 11 million units. It was released in 1990 from Sega. Coming at number 8 is the Sega Game Gear. Yeah, well, to be fair, I actually am someone who owns a Game Gear, so I will say I'm happy at least it sold reasonably well, because I actually think it's good, though it definitely eats batteries like it's nothing, which is why it's better just to have it plugged into the wall. Anyways, coming at number 7, released in 2012, it has ended up selling around an estimated 13 million units. It's sad that it's only sold 13 million. Coming in 7th place is the PlayStation Vita. It's sad the Vita hasn't sold better than like 13 million units. It sucks. Out of those 13 million units that sold, almost 8 million of them sold in strictly Japan, which is why Japan continues to get games on the Vita. Versus everywhere else in the world, it only sold about 1.5 million units in North America. Maybe close to 2 million, but that's about it. And that sucks. Coming in as number 6, we have another humongous leap in sales. Released in 1980. Something I didn't even know about. It really was the first real, I guess you could say, handheld gaming console of its kind. Really was the first. And it was co-created by Gunpei Yokoi. Released in 1980, it sold an estimated 43.4 million units. The Nintendo Game & Watch. Now, I personally have never actually seen one of those Game & Watch. I think it was pretty much only released in Japan, specifically. It's unfortunate because I actually have to say a Nintendo Game Watch looks kind of interesting. It, you could say, was like the precursor to like the Apple iWatch or whatever you want to call it. But it was really ahead of its time. It was the first, and yeah, it was created by Nintendo, surprise. It even predates the original NES by a few years. Next up, coming in at number 5, selling an estimated 72.53 million units. So I might say 72.5 million units. Pretty good for 5th place. And that is released in 2011. The Nintendo 3DS comes in at 5th place. Next up, coming in at 4th place, selling an estimated 81.51 million units, so 81.5 million. Released in 2001, coming in 4th place is the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, that's pretty not bad, honestly. The Game Boy Advance selling 81 million units, that's pretty good. Now this might surprise some people. Coming in 3rd place, released in 2004, selling an estimated 82 million units, so just barely by about 500,000 units, beat out the Game Boy Advance for 3rd place. Coming in at 3rd place is the PSP, PlayStation Portable. Yep, believe it or not, some people don't realize it. PlayStation Portable sold 82 million units. And as somebody who still off and on plays his PSP, I will say it is a great handheld. It's a great handheld, both if you're a fighting game fan, it's also a great handheld for RPG lovers. In general, there's a great selection of games, honestly, and the games aren't super expensive yet. But some stuff is starting to go up, so if you get a chance to get a PSP 3000 model, definitely pick it up. There's a lot of great fine games and stuff on it. Great Street Fighter games. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max. One of the greatest handheld fine games of all time. If not the greatest. But coming in at 2nd place. Released, technically, it's a combination of both models, I guess you could say. Originally released in 1989, and then we get an updated model in 1998, 9 years later. Combination of the models, it sold an estimated 118.69 million units worldwide. Pretty impressive, is it not? And that is a combination of the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color combined together. I couldn't get sales numbers of them specifically separated, so I had to put it together. And together, it gets 2nd place. Not bad, to this day. It's the 2nd best-selling handheld of all time. So I'm sure you pretty much already know what number 1 is. Coming at number 1, released in 2004. It was the successor to the Game Boy Advance SP and the successor to Game Boy. And of course, it sold 154 million units worldwide. It is the best-selling handheld of all time and the 2nd best-selling in general game device of all time. And that is the Nintendo DS, comes in at 1st place with 154 million units sold. Not bad. People, yeah, the 3DS sold well, but when you look at those sales numbers, the DS sold twice as many units as the 3DS did. Though the 3DS is still the 5th best-selling handheld of all time, with over 72 million units. That's not bad at all. Nothing to be ashamed of, but yeah, you know some with the top 10 list. So you have 2 spots held by Sony, 1 spot, unfortunately, by Sega. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots held by Nintendo. So, yeah. Needless to say, Nintendo has always dominated the handheld market, though Sony deserves more respect than they get, unfortunately, in the handheld market, because they revolutionized handheld gaming, in my personal opinion. But, nevertheless, Nintendo has always been a key importance to the handheld market. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this top 10 sales list. So stay tuned for sometime in the future for another top 10 sales list. But this was top 10 best-selling handhelds of all time. Stay tuned in the future, of course, eventually, for the top 10 best-selling game consoles of all time. I'm sure you know where some of the positions are, but the question is whether or not you know that full sales figures. But anyways, with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.